Automatics have gone too far. It was one thing for the humble handgun, but shotguns? This is what a shotgun looks like. This is also acceptable. But cycling for me? I have 2 arms, I can load the shell all by myself. And these manual shotguns? I've got a big soft spot for them, not unlike a baby's. That is why I'm going to go through every boomer and boom adjacent shooter I've played, and I'm going to rank their pump action shotties. What defines a boomer shooter? What defines a pump action? Here are the rules. Number 1. Arguing about the definition of a boomer shooter is banned. If even one person suggests something here is not the perfect example of a boomer shooter, I will burst into tears. 2. I will only include games that I have played. This is because I have only played games that I have played. 3. No automatics, no break actions. But there are some weird pump shotguns. A pump action shotgun will normally have a pump, believe it or not. But if it has some other sort of manual chamber loading mechanism, like say a lever, that's fine. I'm not going to relegate it to some mysterious 4th category. 4. This tier list is either objective opinion or subjective fact. Pick whichever one makes you feel better. But pray tell, you say, what makes one pumper better than t'other? Well, my son, the 4 S's is what? Style, satisfaction, substance, and supersession. How good does it look? How good does it feel? How useful is it? And does it get forced to sit in the corner by a bigger, meaner shotgun later on? It's kind of 3 S's because the last 2 are very closely related. And here's the overused chart format. PSS at the top for Pump Super Shotgun tier. It would just be SS, but you will come to regard Super Shotgun derivatives as the Pump Shotgun's mortal nemesis. Then we have PS for Pump Shotgun, B for Blunderbuss, BB for Beanbag, which is a worse type of shotgun, and finally C for the Cobra Terminator, the worst shotgun ever made. And also not a pump action, but whatever. Starting at the beginning with the Progenitor, the classic Doom shotgun. Look at that smooth 6-frame animation, that punchy little... The sprites are based off a toy gun, and for a 32-year-old game you cannot complain. Spitting bars. It plays the part of your trusty sidearm, the most consistent and reliable weapon in your arsenal right from the first map. Granted, you snoop around a little. Steady fire rate, good crowd control, okay damage, always there for you. And I wish I could leave it at that. But then they had to go and release Doom 2, which is like Doom 1, except very, very slightly different. The second map in Doom 2 introduces the Super Shotgun. Twice the ammo per shot, marginally slower, but triple the damage. A wide crowd mashing spread, and a consistent pinky one shot. From that point forward, when you press free to bring up your trusty sidearm, old Pumpy gets kicked down by Billy Two Barrels. Relegated. It still has some use cases, but it's no longer an easy hot swap, and only really excels in tight corridors or medium ranges. When I say excels, that's exaggerating. But they are technically different games. This means they can go in different places. So the Doom shotgun is an easy top tier. Most reliable gun in the game, you always have tons of ammo for it, and it's the blueprint for every shotgun that came after it. As for the same weapon in Doom 2, it would be BB tier, looking at bottom tier, due to its very specific use cases, if it weren't for pistol starts. If you don't know what pistol start is, it's not super uncommon to play each level in a boomer shooter like a separate entity. A lot of boomer shooters also have a chapter structure, the original Doom does, where you run through, say, 10 levels, and then you start chapter 2, starting with the pistol or melee weapon again. In that case, there are still going to be scenarios where the shotgun exists in a vacuum, but a lot of levels in Doom 2 have super shotguns. And there's no chapters in Doom 2, so it's only pistol starts. So it sits in BB tier. At most, it would be a low B tier. Next up, we're jumping 8 years and 1 dimension to Serious Sam. Serious Sam is a simple but surprisingly difficult boomer shooter from late 90s, early 2000s. The shotgun comes even earlier here, pretty much straight after the second pistol. I wonder what inspired this. It suffers from the same problems as Doom, on an exaggerated scale. You see, unlike Doom, the shotgun does not become your go-to sidekick as soon as you pick it up, because the pistols are fantastic. accurate, long range, consistent damage output, and infinite ammo. All the shotgun has going for it is marginally higher damage output up close. Then you pick up the coach gun, super shotgun, and congratulations! Shotgun's now obsolete. This happens in the second level of the first encounter. Then you get the Tommy gun, and that already slim zone where the shotgun was useful, that little sliver, disappears completely. Gets worse with every gun you pick up. By the time you're carrying 8 guns, why would you ever pull this one out? Here's an example of just about the only use case. No ammo for anything else, human-sized enemies coming in small groups that I need to dispatch at medium range. And about halfway through, I still end up swapping to the pistols, because they easily quadruple my range, and have the same effective damage. And this also lets me save my ammo for the double barrel. I kinda wanna put it in BB tier because of nostalgia, because it does feel alright, but I'm pretty sure I could beat the game quite easily without ever taking it out, and so it's in bottom tier. Quake. Do I need to explain Quake? It's another of the classic id boomer shooters, and it brought in a lot of modern tropes, bunny hopping, 3D, things exploding into gibs, inflated spooky Doom. The guns are not as satisfying as Doom, in my opinion, aside from maybe the explosives. As for the pump action shotgun, it's the pistol equivalent in Quake, given at the start of every chapter with 25 shells, and it's fine. Kind of ugly, but I think that's a time problem. They hadn't quite figured out 3D, so it's just one polygon. It has no real animation, and the only reason that you know it's a pump action is because it fires rapidly, almost automatically, and it's pretty much the worst weapon. Everything except the most trashy of enemies feels like a sponge. It is the pistol weapon, so that makes sense. If not for the chapters resetting weapons, it would likely just gather dust. You could also play pistol start, but we'll say the chapters is the most important one. It's used only out of necessity, but it's not useless. There's just better options in most situations. BB tier. Dusk is a fantastic retro boomer shooter from 2018, tied to the now well recognised New Blood Studios. It also happens to contain my favourite kind of shotgun, the floppy pump action. I am not making a distinction. I am not making a tier list for the one lever action shotgun I've seen. It's close enough. Alright? It's beautiful. Its animation is lovely.
I love you.
Can you leave us alone?
No, you already said I love you. No, you don't get it. I love you.
And it's a very okay gun. And then you pick up a second one, and it's a good guns. Almost perfect. Almost. The problem is Dusk is well made. And that means the super shotgun is well made. Too well made. So it runs into the same problem as every game so far other than Doom 1. The super shotgun completely steamrolls the shotgun, or shotguns I suppose, at their intended role. They only beat it at range and speed, and there are other weapons which are much better at longer ranges. It has the shotgun's usual saviour, the pistol start, or in this case the even more extreme intruder mode, where you only start with melee weapons. Not as much of a handicap as you'd think, because in Dusk the sickles are a good melee weapon, and also because you can just kill things like this. But unfortunately the shotgun doesn't really come into its own until it transitions to shotguns, which means picking up 2. And normally by that point, if not even earlier, you found a super shotgun. And yeah.
Hi, how are you?
The 2 pickups to actually make it effective is rough. It's simultaneously better and worse than the Quake shotgun and pistol starts, but it also doesn't look like a plumber's offcut. So it's going in B, mostly for style. Even if its stint is brief, I could split it so the single shotgun is BB and the dual shotguns are B. My biggest beef with this game, in fact, is that I would have preferred the transition from 1 shotgun to 2 to replace the super shotgun nonsense. But no, instead we've got this weird 3-tiered shotgun system. Ugh. The Quake sequel. The sequel to Quake. The game that came after Quake with the same name, but was a very jarring tonal shift for some reason. I'll be honest, I don't care for Quake 2, for various reasons. Does that affect my judgment? Yes. What also affects my judgment is that the shotgun sucks. It is ugly.
Ugly?
It sounds like throwing tin cans at a wall and does about the same amount of damage. You get it, you use it out of vague necessity, but even that isn't forced. You have an infinite ammo ranged weapon like Serious Sam. Unlike Serious Sam's infinite ammo ranged weapon, it sucks, but still. You then get the much more usable machine gun. 3 minutes later, you get the super shotgun. You breathe a sigh of relief, and you never use the thumbtack thrower again. Seriously, the super shotgun has the same fire rate, and is so much more powerful. And the usual rainbow in the dark for these guns, the pistol start, doesn't exist here. Quake 2 has one big campaign, not counting DLCs, or expansions I suppose they would have been. Easy Cobra tier, worse than the Serious Sam one by a long way. At least that one looks alright. HROT, another relatively recent release with a retro feel, arguably one of the best to capture that feel in an authentic way while still retaining its own personality. I maybe did a video on it if you're interested. Maybe? No? Whatever. Dick. The shotgun in this is a Soviet KS-23 pump action. Tasty aesthetic and sound. Comes along early and props you up for most of the first episode. Then you get its big brother and it drops off a little, but it doesn't leave too early. A lot of these games give you the super shotgun by the second or the third map. HROT waits a while, lets you use the shotgun on its own. And post super shotgun, it still sees a lot of use. Is it as universally powerful for clearing corners and blasting single big enemies? No. Is it a great tool for fodder and actually better crowd control? Absolutely. In another change from the norm, it shares a button with a super shotgun, but it is the one pulled first when you have both. This is the only game on the list that does this. Every other game you pull the double barrel first, which I think in a lot of ways shows difference in attitude towards it. For pistol starts, it's going to be your bread and butter. Just bread, I suppose, in Czechoslovakia. Also, you can do this when you have both shotguns. Love it. PS tier. Doesn't quite do anything exceptional enough or carry you significantly enough to warrant a top place, but it is really good. Doom 64. Somewhere along the line, while working on Doom 3, id had an identity crisis, and they developed 61 other Doom games. 15 third-person shooters, 11 point-and-click adventure games. Then they remade Excitebike 34 times and reluctantly settled on something a bit closer to a first-person shooter. You can see the ideas for Doom 3 starting to take form. It's slower, there's no MIDI metal, it's dark and spooky, but otherwise it's not that different from Doom. Where shotguns are concerned, there's some big differences. The pump shotgun is as ugly as sin. You get the super shotgun pretty much right at the start, and for some reason they've buffed one of the most powerful guns in the game. It's almost as fast as the pump action now. Why? Why would I now use the pump action? Why would you even give me this? What's the point? There's no pistol starts. There's no episodes. There's level passwords, because N64, this one just goes to the bottom. It sucks. I don't think I could even put it on par with Quake 2's, and that's bad. I realise at this point there is a correlation between games I'm not overly fond of and the lowest ranked shotguns. I'm saying for the sake of argument that the shotguns being crap has more influence over my opinion of the game than the game being mediocre has on my opinion of the shotguns. Having said that, if a game's gunplay is unsatisfying overall, then chances are the shotgun is not going to be the outlier. I also don't think it's a coincidence that these games both have super shotguns that completely and utterly overshadow the pump action very early on. It is a waste of time even putting the poor thing in the game, modelling it, doing all this programming, just leave it. Doom 2016. This one has a fair bit of nuance due to the game's weapon upgrading system. Like Serious Sam, Doom has an infinite ammo sidearm. Unlike Serious Sam, it sucks. Wow! So that's mitigated. It's a funny looking thing, but I cannot deny its effectiveness. You have two options, an underbarrel grenade launcher or burst fire. Burst fire is disqualified because it brings it dangerously close to being an automatic. So we will be acting as though grenade launcher is your only option. It is the close range go-to until you get about a third of the way through the game, or slightly later depending on how much exploring you do. And it's solid. You go bang and shoot a little explosive. You get the super shotgun, and refreshingly the super shotgun is mostly used as a tool for big targets, and you have to be right up in their face. The pump action can compete just fine. It's more efficient, allows for glory kills and smaller enemies to get your health back, and the grenades are great crowd control and damage once you've upgraded them a bit. However, there are a lot of strong weapons in this game. Each of them has ultimate upgrades. The super shotgun has an ultimate upgrade that is so ridiculously overpowered that it trivializes every other close range option. The shotgun goes from being a nice blaster to the bottom of the toy box, because the super shotgun upgrade allows you to fire it twice before reloading, at 1 ammo per shot for the full super shotgun damage. So there's no reason at all to ever use the pump action ever again, except for the occasional grenade. So it's in the corner crying, but it still serves two purposes: grenades and glory kills. Most other weapons are a bit too powerful, but not the trusty shotgun, so even after being beaten into submission, it's usable. There's also a good portion of the game where it's your go-to close range option and then your go-to close medium option, so I'm going to put it in PS tier. It's a good shotgun. Just because it gets superseded doesn't make it bad. Boltgun. This game's decent. Its shotgun is not. It is without a doubt the worst shotgun I've ever had the displeasure of using. It is the first and only weapon on this list to not have a single use case. There's not any scenario where I want this shotgun. Cobra tier. Actually, add some placeholders in there so it's lower down. Ultrakill has a shotgun which... What? You can just trust my judgment here. I don't want to explain why. It's terrible. You don't want to know. There's no point me... You spawn into the world from your Space Marine womb with a Boltgun. It is a powerful assault rifle. It is lore accurate. It fires explosive projectiles for a huge range. You also have a chainsword for close quarters as a backup and mobility finisher. This game has a weird weapon power system. The Boltgun is a power 4 weapon. This means enemies that are power 4 or below take normal damage and anything higher takes half. I think it's weird, I don't really get it. Sometime later you get the shotgun. It is a power 3 weapon. The consequences of this are obvious as soon as you attempt to use it. The only thing it can kill in anything resembling an efficient manner are one-shotable grunts, which you can one-shot with anything. Instead, you could choose to fire 8 very slow, inaccurate blasts at point-blank range before spending 85 minutes reloading the fucking thing. You can get right up to a dangerous enemy, blast it, and deal less damage than a burst of bolter ammo from 5 times the distance. Also, I think the 40k Space Marine shotgun looks ugly. The defense rests. It is relegated to the hitting a shotgun shell with a claw hammer tier. Turning the shotgun around and beating your enemies with it would be more effective, especially since it's shaped as a vagabond's club. Doom Eternal. It's a shotgun from Doom 2016, but it has had a facelift, a makeover. It's been mewing, it's been jelking, it looks a little bit less like something pulled out of a plumber's van, it sounds beefier, and the upgrades are similar but way stronger. Instead of 1 grenade, you get 3 upgrading to 5 eventually, which can also completely disable certain enemy attacks. Instead of pointless burst firing, you get full auto Gatling shotgun. That upgrade doesn't exist for the purpose of this list. It doesn't matter that it's really, really good, it's gone. On top of that, they turn the super shotgun into a mobility burst damage type deal, rather than this ridiculous thing. And Doom Eternal's emphasis on ammo conservation means that saving ammo by using the pump action is viable in the early game. 60 super shotgun blasts, 2 at a time, without restocking is gone, because that was a bad idea. It deals respectable damage, it's good for farming glory kills, it's good enough to deal with heavier enemies in a pinch, and it can do the funny hot swapping thing with the other shotgun. I love it when games let you do that, I love it. By the late game, when you have a huge range of tools and fully upgraded weapons, it loses its luster a bit. It's kind of your baby starting weapon, but it's still usable. The drop off is much more gradual than most. It is sort of a grenade launcher with shotgun tendencies, rather than a shotgun. Do you use the shotgun part? Sure you do, but the grenade launcher is its main purpose. I think it goes in PS, because Doom 2016's went in PS. It's just a more polished version of that. Duke Nukem 3D. This is not a particularly complex game, and it's not shy about that. When it came out, the visuals were very impressive. Obviously that's faded. You're a big muscle guy, and you kill aliens, and you save girls. It has a pretty colourful range of weapons, some fun, some frustrating. Some goofy. The shotgun sits right in the middle. It looks relatively snazzy, it does decent damage, it's very fine. Completely average, middle of the road. Probably the most standard weapon on the list. I don't feel like I needed to use it to get by, but I also didn't not want to use it because it was pathetic. Right in the center, and that's where it's going on the list. I'm tempted to dock it points for being boring. That's okay, there's nothing wrong with being boring. It's just keeping in step with the rest of Duke Nukem, unfortunately. The Citadel. This 80s anime styled boomer shooter has a vast array of weapons and ways to go about your business. Revolvers, flame-throwing chain guns, artillery barrages, and among these is a pump-action shotgun. It's simple, grisly, and the ballistics give it some flair compared to a standard hit scan. Look at all the pretty balls. It also has an alternative firing mode in the form of slugs. They're okay. They'd be a lot better if they didn't use grenades as ammo. There are much better uses for grenades. And also if you didn't have to pump out a round to load them into the chamber, meaning you could only have a single slug in at a time. So naturally if you want to use slugs, you just end up walking about with an empty shotgun, loading them into the chamber manually as and when you need them. If you try to load in a second slug, it simply expels the old one, gives you back the ammunition, then loads the same shell back in. But wait, that's the shell on the floor over there. I'll just pick that up, and then I'll load another slug and expel the old one. It gives me back the ammunition, then I pick it up again. But in typical chump action fashion, there is an auto shotgun that does everything the blunderbuss does, but better. You get it about halfway through the game, and it's very cheap. I feel like I can't give the pump action too many brownie points for having a silly ammo exploit. I am fond of exploits, especially when I find them by messing about myself. But it's not fun movement or a crazy trick, it's just infinite ammo, which I find a bit cheap. It does have an upgrade, and the auto shotty doesn't, but it's just a variable choke, which I couldn't even think of a use for really outside weird situations that I made up in my head. You get it after you've already got the superior shotgun. Why would I go back to the pump action to use choke? It's a blunderbuss tier weapon. Right in the middle, funnily enough. It's pretty good, you have it for a long time, but it just gets overshadowed. But it's time for you to step outside. Yes, I know it's been 14 years. It's okay, your Discord servers will survive. All 14 of them. It's okay. Look, another anime game. Breathe in the crisp sandy air beyond the Citadel. Here, you get a real pump action. Look at it. Look at it. This game takes more of a tactical shooter approach than its predecessor. It also crashes a lot less. Aiming feels more important, you can only carry one gun of each type, and it has manual weapon handling, which was an optional feature in the other Citadel game, I believe. What this means for the pump is not only do you load the lot up one shell at a time, you also get to manually pump it between shots. Very crisp. But how does it actually perform? Well, this game has several enemy types, but they're quite easy to categorize. Everything before this stage is easy prey. All the way from weird angelic doom blobs to anime death squads. And let me tell you, anime girls do not possess the fortitude required to handle this. The assault rifle might give them a second to react to get a shot off, not Samuel sawn off. Oh, and the manual pumping feeling a little bit slow? You can slam fire it. This isn't even mentioning the upgrades. 11 shells ready to be slam fired, flechette shells that work underwater and may or may not penetrate through enemies, painting entire corridors at once. It's too easy. Slugs or whatever, they're pretty much the same as they were in the Citadel, just fuck that one guy in particular. There are also two other shotguns, a double barrel, which is about as terrible for combat as double barrel shotguns are in real life, and an auto shotgun. I couldn't afford it until about 80% of the way through the game. I never found it in the wild. Could I have saved up to get it earlier? Yeah, but I had no motivation to. The pump action was so good. Then when I finally did get 2,000 gold, I found it was just trading in the flechette shells for an ammo wasting machine. It's barely faster, and it's not as much fun, and it's uglier. For it to even have been relevant at that price, it would have to be so much better, and it's not, it sucks. I went back to the pump action. It's somehow the most versatile gun in the game, which is really rare for a shotgun. Easy PSS tier, please and thank you. Ultrakill. Ultrakill is another game that I've talked about before, in less detail than it deserves. It's all combos and speed and parrying and etc. It also deals with weapons in a very different way to all the other boomer shooters on this list. There are 5 weapons, each one is good in different situations against different foes, but really they're designed to be swapped between constantly. They don't have ammo, instead they have different refractory periods before the alt fire on them can be used again. Sometimes even the main fire. There's also alternative weapons, so there are 8 weapons, actually. And then there are 3 alt fire subtypes for each weapon, so 24 weapons, I suppose. But only 15 of them at a time. Very reasonable, a small arsenal. Anyway, going by this logic, there are technically 6 shotguns, but I will be ignoring the alternate ones because they're some sort of mutant jackhammer abomination. It's not a pump action by any definition. Of the 3 actual shotguns, only one of them is technically a pump action, but they all have the same firing speed, and this is kind of like a magical backwards pump that just looks a little bit like a break action, so cut them some slack. Leave them alone. I won't have you shaming them for being different. The shotgun is essential to your repertoire, because it's good against everything and has a million different combos and uses. The 3 alt fires are a grenade launcher, straightforward, the aforementioned pump action mode, which can be pumped more times to fire more pellets, or right the way up until it explodes, and the most recent one, which is just a shotgun taped to the side with some bungee cord. So the combos and strengths, it's easier if I just list a few of them. You can swap the shotgun variants to skip the pump. You can parry attacks with a shot in melee range. You can parry your own shotgun pellet, punching one of them forward out of the barrel, creating a recoilless rifle. You can swap the shotguns, parrying each shot to create a rapid fire recoilless rifle until your arm gets tired. You can shoot the grenades in midair to make the explosion bigger. You can shoot the grenades in midair with the explosive railgun to create a bikini atoll. You can dash out of your overpumped explosion to take no damage from it. You can deliberately blow yourself up with the overpumped explosion to avoid falling to your death. You can shoot the chainsaw into enemies, and when it comes back, parry it to boomerang it back into the same enemy. You can do this over and over again, until your arm gets tired. I don't know if I need to do more PR work for this shotgun. I've already glazed it enough. You know where it's going. Let's move on. Trepang 2. This is a Fear-inspired boomer shooter. It's very straightforward. Doesn't actually play all that much like Fear, but it looks a bit like Fear, and it feels a bit like Fear. You're a super soldier, you can manhandle enemies, manhandle guns, manhandle leg, manhandle time, and manhandle visibility. The shotgun is a SPAS 12. It is very strong. The animation, while dual wielding, is very cool. There's a small selection of attachments, the most notable being the vertical choke and incendiary barrel. They don't change much about its overall function, but it's a bit of variety. There isn't much to say about it, but it's enjoyable. I think by virtue of being probably the best gun in the game, and being a lot of fun to use, and having cool animations, it's just going to sit in this tier. It's stalwart, it's solid. Turbo Overkill. Another game in the movement shootery side of boomer shooters. You play a version of Duke Nukem who's actually cool, and you carry pretty much every boomer shooter trope on you in a magic rucksack. Chainsaws and cigars and mini missiles and a quiet protagonist and lots of guns. Loads of guns. The pump action shotgun in Turbo Overkill is a pump action shotgun. I mean, how many of them have you fucking seen now? Just skip straight to the point. What actually makes it different from other pump action shotguns? Well, it kind of sucks. Except for the alt fire, which is this extremely powerful electrical blast, good against everything except some zippy zappy enemies. And it's sort of slow. There's a bit of a delay after firing, plus it chews through your ammo like nothing else. That makes the shotgun a bit of a weird one to rank, because there's very little incentive to actually use it as a shotgun at all, but I'm constantly swapping to and using it as an electrical blaster. There's a double-barreled shotgun for using as an actual shotgun, which I will always use over it, though there is... Does that really justify it being a high-ranked shotgun? No. Granted, there are other shotguns in this list that have got a lot of praise for their alt fire, but when it's the bulk of its power, when the actual shotgun side of it is just okay. At least it does pump. You do actually have to still pump it. So we'll say it's B tier. It's really good. It's not broken. It's also not really a shotgun. It toes the line. Is that enough? I fucking hope so. I don't know if I have any more in me. I'm boomered out. I've taken one too many boomer shots.
Years old.
It's now time to head off the main criticism, the one I probably should have headed off 20 minutes ago. I've been anticipating it that long. Why didn't you rate the shotguns in a vacuum? It's not fair to mark down a shotgun because another shotgun is better. Don't you know comparison is the thief of joy? Alright, Dalai Lama, calm down. I'm the thief of joy. I didn't rate them in a vacuum because they don't exist in a vacuum. An okay shotgun is a usable shotgun when it's your only option. An OK shotgun is an inflatable horse if you also have the 6 tuple-barrel Giga shotgun next to it on your back. Same goes to a lesser extent to other weapons. If you took every gun except the shotgun out of Boltgun, I would still hate it, but I would use it out of necessity. I don't think any thought experiment on the planet could drag that thing out of the bottom tier, that grape sprayer, but I can make an attempt. Yeah, if I became allergic to super shotguns overnight, the tier list would look different, but not as substantially different as you might think. They are the most pervasive bane to the pump shotgun, but a good shotgun should still stand out on its own. Competitors are not. Anyway, this video is 100% serious, and if you disagree or think I'm wrong, it's not because we have varied opinions and divergent viewpoints, it's because you suck and I'm great. At the very least, don't try and defend this thing. That's the one opinion I will not tolerate. It will never earn it. It will never love you back.